Oh, hello. Welcome. Thanks for stopping by my workshop. My name's Dennis. I'm here today talking about, well, let me tell you. Hey, what's that guy doing? He's holding a metal rod. Well, actually, it's aluminum, and I'm creating a light bulb. Oh, wow. A light bulb. Aren't those made out of something else? Yes, well. So I don't totally know what I'm doing. I'm learning along the way, and we can learn together on this project. So let me tell you kind of what's going on and why I'm creating a light bulb out of a aluminum rod. So the deal is, I was running into a problem with my current light bulb situation, or lamps, as we call them in the business. So this little lamp here, which is a I forget what the model number is on this one, but I use this and it's becoming less available, and they're expensive. This simple light bulb here is almost $80, and it starts off good, and then it gets dimmer until it finally goes out. So I'm really trying to optimize my light source output, because that's a projector lamp for film projector, and this is a film, 16 millimeter that I'm showing you. And the problem is with this stuff, it's becoming darker and darker. And I'm having trouble getting the current light source to push through some of the poor quality film, and because I can neither increase the wattage of the light source because I would it's not available, or if I could, I would burn the film and damage the film. And so I'm trying to increase the source and decrease the price. So what does that have to do with the aluminum rod? Well, I got turned on to LEDs, and I'm learning about LEDs. People these days are pretty familiar with an LED and how much efficient it is, but maybe not totally about the workings and how to actually use it. So in this case, this is a high intensity, I think single pole is what the word that they used. You could choose this. This is a Lux Drive A007, and you could choose this in a cool, neutral, or warm. This one is the that one's the warm. So I'm going to try out a neutral and a warm. So we're getting there. I'm going to tell you about how exactly we're going to make that and this work. Because the LED source is extremely hot, we need a light source. Otherwise, as I've learned from previous tests, it will get so hot that it'll just burn itself out, and I just remember maybe it didn't burn itself out, but it did desolder itself. I had another one, but it was pretty spectacular. But it was working, so I need to find a way to cool it down. So this is really going to be about creating this, and I'll probably add a heat sink on the back to it, and I'll show you some of the additional parts that we need to get this to work. So this will actually end up looking about like that, with a heat source on the back and wires coming off of it. So that's where we're starting. Right, here's some of the basic stuff you'll need for this project, and that's probably a solder iron and some vise to hold your wires while you're soldering them. The price of this stuff is not the question. None of these pieces that I have here were any more than a couple dollars. But getting the right ones that are compatible, getting them shipped, there's 10 days at least to ship them. you know, so these are some of the different lenses that we'll sample. This one's like a tight spot, so that'll help us optimize things. This one is a ripple medium. That's just my solder iron. The company that I worked with here sends out a thing, their LED supply. They were pretty helpful. It's hard stuff to really kind of understand, at least at first, because there's all sorts of questions about, you know, the wattage and voltage and heat dissipation, especially when you're combining multiple things. This I created by ordering each of these separately, and then in my case, you know, you could have a project box or something like that, but I'm just using this. This isn't for major sale, so I just mounted it right to the top of this power supply. So, and then this is the transformer, and this is the dimmer, so that I can control the voltage output for the LED. So you need that too. So other than that, what else I did here is this is coming off of the transformer. Okay, and I just happen to have this multi-plug around. You certainly don't have to have that. In fact, that's a live wire, so maybe you don't want it. But in my case, I thought, well, I'll just leave it. And what I put here is a quick disconnect 9 volt. So conceivably, I could tap in different light bulbs, LED lamps, right? LED lamps. So, and then that's just the end, and we're gonna connect that there to these. And so that's our project. Oh yeah, well, for you out in TV land, it's only been seconds. But me, I've been waiting for an order of new stuff to come because I ran into some issues. I got into it and realized that I needed more heat sink. I needed some heat sink because I wasn't using any at all. But I'm just learning, you know. And there's an actual quotient equation to decide how much heat sink you'd need for your project. In lieu of doing that, I got a couple options, and I'll do that equation, add that equation in, just so you can see it, maybe in the description or something like that, or a link to something like that. But these are a couple different heat sinks, and it's basically how much wattage versus how many devices. So if I was using more than one LED bulb, and it you know, surface area for dissipation, you know. So we got our light bulb here, and then this heat vent is basically go on the back, and then I might just put these up here just for the heck of it, just to overbuild, because we want it to last as long as possible. If we don't have proper ventilation, it'll shorten the life of the bulb. So I'm working on that, and I also, okay, so instead of having that grease, I got this, and this is a sticky conductive tape, so I should be able to use this on those LED stars and glue and stick those here. And I like that idea better because the grease was moving around, and this really needs to be a firm thing. So let's hope this one works. So we're going to take our neutral one here. And it's specifically made for these stars. That's what they call it. So I'm going to stick it right on there, and then it'll have a peely. Now I made sure this was nice and clean. Use some alcohol on it because this is really mission critical stuff. You need it to work under high heat conditions. So you really want that to be good. Press it in there. Shouldn't be anything magical, just to push that in there like that. And then there should be a backing on the back of it, is what I'm thinking. Gently pull that away. Okay. Try to remove any bubbles if you can. Okay. Now on this you can see where I've marked it. Okay, it doesn't have to be perfect, but somewhere right in there I need to attach my star. And just like that, I feel like that's very firm. And it's not going anywhere. So you do want to make sure, I'm sure you can remove it if you really need to. A little alcohol or something like that. But yeah, so there you go. But not too movable, so you want it, measured out and in place before you place that. So that's it should withstand the high heat and keep it stuck to this. So in a similar fashion, we have a sticker here on the back of this that we should be able to peel away. Okay, there we go. And again, this doesn't have to be precision, but it only makes sense in my case that I'm going to put it right on the back. Should I do it angled or like that? Let's see. Well, I'm going to do that just in case there's something like a clip that I can put through there. So that little channel there is kind of made for a clip, and I don't quite know how this is going to go, but I think that I'm going to do it like that, and just for that reason. The vent itself doesn't care how you attach it. Okay, and I'm just kind of pressing this in here. You can see now I have that attached to the back. There we go. So now we are styling. Right. And then these smaller ones here, I don't think they have a sticker on them, or do they? No. But I got these extra stars here, so let me try and see if this works on the back. That's enough to hold it in place. So I was able to add that in too with a little extra sticker. I mean, I could easily put another one down here. The nice thing about this, it doesn't throw off too much heat. And these shouldn't be melty. You can use anything on here, so I might as well put another one up here. I don't see why not. And I added an extra. So that's essentially our light bulb there. I just have to connect it. And we'll have to consider lenses, but I decided not to go on that step yet because we might not need it in my situation. But later on I will put in and test what some of these lenses do and if they help. Otherwise, but the actual creation of the light bulb is just that. And then I'm going to make the connections and use the solder in this quick release like I did the other one so that it can be easily connected and tested. So I think that's it for now. I'll check back with an update, and we'll do some more work soon. Thanks for stopping by the workshop. I have made a couple updates here since we last spoke, and that's including just a small hole there that is big enough to fit a wire or a paper clip through so that it can use for support to keep it stable. And let's see, I put a new dimmer pot on here. Alright, so it's no big deal, but it is nice. It makes it convenient to turn. So it's those little updates along the way. So right now, we're preparing for the fun part. This is the fun part. And if you don't have one of these, this is pretty cool. This is a pan of ice. Make sure to get the articulating one because you can hold everything just the way you need it. So you want to kind of set up your situation there. And this also is a smaller and equally useful vise with clips on it, so I can hold my wire in place and make my connection without having too much trouble. So we're just going to tin these wires here and connect it. Okay, we're going to tin the wire right there, and then we're going to connect it. So here's the plus side and here's the minus side. It doesn't matter which side you're connected to. I'm actually going to plug in plus over here and minus over here. And so you can see that right there. They all look about like this. This specific one, I believe, is the neutral. And so from there, once I make those connections, this one's ready to go and be tested pretty much. I'll also get the other one going while we're all heated up here. Again, I'll add in the 9-volt quick connect. All right, so this is just that little 9-volt piece, or the piece that you commonly see on a 9-volt connector, but it's really just connecting the power supply to the LED. And so I'll add that in. And with that, I will use just a little heat shrink there to put it on there to keep it safe. And I'll pull out the Weller tool. And so this is my pyro pen, and that's nice. It's a nice little portable solder device, and you can also have other attach different tips, including heat shrink. So you can use it as a little torch, or you can attach use it like I'm going to, and that is to take the heat shrink and melt it down a little. And that's cool. So, and then we'll be using the other solder device that I have, and that's the Weller WT-CPT. That's been a great unit, and the nice thing about that, especially if you're doing a lot of soldering, is that the element is back here. So this is all very light, and it makes it a lot easier to move around. And again, if you're doing a lot of soldering, you'll notice it. It gets, holding that thing for long periods does get heavy, and plus it's nice quality. You can use different tips. So right here I have a medium tip set up, and that can be replaced quite simply. And it comes with the little station intact, and that's removable. So this piece can be removed. Other than that, it's got a simple switch, turns it on, and give it a couple minutes to heat up, and we'll be ready to go. The way I solder is you just hold it on the back of the wire, just long enough to heat up the wire, and then apply the solder to the other side of the wire. So ideally, when you do that, then it soaks through the wire all the way, and then you don't end up with a cold solder joint. Sometimes you need to just add a little solder in there, because that solder makes it all heat up and work a little better, and then it'll soak in better. That's my little soldering tip there. So then we're going to add this in. If we can, just add a dab there. Maybe that'll be helpful. That doesn't really want to do that, so let's try this. Okay, so we're going to drop this in here. Heat it up just long enough. guess that's as connected as it needs to be. So then we need to get this side over here, disconnect that. I suppose those alligator clips do put a little bit of crimp in the wire, so it's probably good to be careful about that, whatever that means. We wouldn't want to break the shield on the wire, that's all I'm saying. Well, it really had a way of just connecting itself there when I did this. And when I tried to change it, it wouldn't let me. And what I mean by that is just, I guess it connected up real good. Let me get my magnifying glass. Other magnifying glass. This one's broken. So that was pretty quick and painless, really. And we should essentially be able to light our light bulb. Let's take a little break on that for a second. Right now. Let's see what happens. Oh, there we go. I guess, I don't know if I said neutral, but it looks pretty warm to me. I might have gotten them mixed up. So as you can see, we got a light where I am here. It's really bright, and it's so intense that, you know, it's a lot coming through my eyes. It is dimmable, but I don't feel like it's a continuous dim. It's more of a step. You know, so, well, yeah, that's pretty good. I mean, that's, I guess, as continuous as it gets. Really good, actually. But I do feel like it tops out, you know, like that's it. You know, and the extra 25% of the dimmer switch does very little. So there we go. So I guess I can let it heat up and just run it through a test here and see what it feels like to the touch. Is it dissipating heat correctly? You know, so as it is right now, the rest of this is not warm to the touch. So I'm going to let it run for a couple minutes here. Let's see what happens. Again, so far it feels very cool to the touch. So it's dissipating the heat very good. It seems like it's stable so far. Great. All right. You probably can't see it from there, but I do keep a consistency here. So on the wire there is a white stripe on this one, and this one's black. You know, it really doesn't matter which one you use for positive or negative, but it is useful to keep it in a consistency throughout. So we're making our final connections here. Oh. You can see I set something up. We'll see if it works, but I just wrapped it and put it in this plastic bag so I wasn't putting the clips right on the wire. Even back it off a little bit. So that's kind of a good way to do it. I'll show you on this one how I ran it. It came off like this, and then I ran it through the vents. And then in my situation, I ran it up. So then my wire, it'll sit inside the unit like this, this wire will go to the back and hook up to the power supply. And then the paper clip will go right through this hole to hold it in place. All I need to do is add the 9-volt quick connect in there. And let's see, did that work? Yeah, that worked real well. I didn't see any alligator clip bite marks on here, so you know, for what it's worth, put a little something around it like that to keep it from. And then with a bag like that, you can actually clip onto the bag and not even the wire. So. Okay. Okay, remember we're going to keep our consistency here red to positive, which is stripe. So this shrink wrap needs to go on before you make your connections because you need to shrink it on there. So once you have the shrink wrap on there, then you can go back to your twist or your twirl. Once you got that twirled, then apply a little bit of solder to solidify that. There we go. Once that cools, do the same thing on the other side by slipping this over here. Okay, our connections are made. So then we can close that, or turn that off, let this finish cooling. Okay, open our vise. Okay, and we can sort of push that in, this in, and then we take and put the shrink wrap over that connection. Finish off with this situation here. We can easily cut this bag away, and then it no longer needs to be held like that. Maybe I did that a minute prematurely just because we will solder these in place, or not solder, but we'll take the heat gun on these. So we'll leave that in there. So one of my favorite tools here. Alright, so that's actually torch mode. It has a tip for the shrink wrap. I don't have it with. I'm just doing a little bit here. There's much better heat guns out there than this. That's a flame. But for the small amount that I do, I actually have one, I just don't have it here. For the small amount that I do, it's not that big a deal. So you could do it with a lighter if you don't have this. It's a little messy, but at least this will handle it. So let me move this around so you can kind of see. There we go. So I'm just going to take it lightly especially with the torch mode here. Alright, just real quick. You don't want to linger. Give it a second to cool and go in there one more time. I think the biggest tip that I have for you is use appropriate size. Because if you're trying to melt something down that's really big and get it to hold your wire securely, they don't like to do that sometimes. And then it's also helpful to get all sides. Okay, I think that's good enough. So say goodbye to my favorite tool there. Alright, so there we are. This one should be complete. Right, so let's plug this in and test it out. Oh wait, we had to do this thing. And so what I was doing is I was running this back. So this one's going to come off the top. So the way I did that, it'll both keep those wires cool and secure. So it just comes off the front there and around. And then I used the vent there, which isn't really specifically meant for wires, but there's nothing wrong. All this is made out of aluminum, which is great for cooling, and also it is non-conductive. So I can go like this, around the other heat vents. We're almost there. So it doesn't specifically matter the direction you go here, just that it's safe and secure. And just to finish it off, alright, so then I just added this in, clip it off here. Alright, so there you go. Comes out the top there. Alright, let's finish this off, our little video here, and do our termination test. Make sure we're getting voltage across here. It's pretty cool. You can buy this stuff a la carte, work on your own projects. The company I worked with, LED Supply, they were pretty good. They got a pretty decent website. And each project is individual, so it's kind of hard, I suppose, for them. And we're going to do another thing here. We're going to first test it out. Power here. And this should look a little different. Alright, so this one's supposed to be neutral, whereas the last one was warm. There we go. So, looks good. So that's the lowest power setting I can put it at. It's dissipating the heat real well. So we're going to take a second and just sort of see what this looks like. So, what I mean by that is, let's see what these, if this is even anything we need to consider. Okay. So if you can see it, alright, that's about the light coming off. Pretty concentrated right as it is, at least at that point. Let's see if we can do this in a way that we can all see here. That was the ripple medium. I don't see where that helped focus it at all. Yeah, maybe a little. Okay. This is supposed to be tight spot. I do kind of like that one. Really focuses it down. And without it, it's all over. And this one also is listed as tight spot. So these two, I think this one's better. That one's really focuses the light. Ooh, very nice. So I think it would work without it, but I don't see why we don't add it. How exactly? Let's figure that out. Because it came with this, is if you put this in the lens here, and that's all good, but I don't know exactly how we hold it in place. So I'm going to spend a little time and unhook this and turn off the camera and figure out exactly how I would attach this. So that looks good like that, but I need to attach it so this isn't falling off when it's in upright position. So that's all I got for now. Alright, so here's how it'll look, and what I decided to do is use a little bit of the, what is it, Arctic grease or something like Arctic silver. And I checked the heat load temperature, max temperature for liquid nails, and it seems like 140 degrees is Fahrenheit is a good estimate as to what it'll withstand. And I think with the heat situation I have here, I think it'll be safe. I'm just going to put a little dab right in there, right on the feet. And just to try to give it a little extra. You can see this, there might be like a metal clip somewhere in the world that comes around and pulls that on. Sorry. See, like would come out of the heat vent here and then go and hold that on. And I talked about LED supply, and they have different things, but they weren't going to work for my situation. So each situation is special, and in my situation, one thing I have is me. So I'm not selling this to the mass market. I have the opportunity to view and see and make changes down the road, and if something falls off or breaks, I can always just put it back on and learn. So I'll keep my eye out for something like that. All right, so here we are at the moment of truth. I got the lamp wired up inside here. I'll show you a close-up shot here in just a minute, and we're going to go ahead and turn it on and run some film. So we got film. It does look good. So let me give you a close-up shot here. Okay, so here's what our lamp looks like now that it's installed. And I got my switch back here, just like we had before. And I got the wire coming over. The tin foil here is just because the light was so intense, but this lens housing here does a pretty good job of keeping it out of my eyes, so that's excellent. And here's what it looks like. Well, what can I say? The light bulb, or lamp, as we like to call it professionally, was a success. That's super exciting. It solved a few real issues. One, the darkening film. Two, the heat issue, the cost of buying new lamps and projectors that are still working. So, a roaring success. I'm so excited about All right, so well, thanks for checking in. That's what's next here at the workshop. Make sure to stop by again and see what we got going on. Have a great day.